You know that feeling, right? You have these huge, amazing dreams for your life, but when it's actually time to do the work, you just can't. You freeze. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. So let's get into the psychology behind this and figure out what's really going on.
This just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, you can see it. That future you want is in crystal clear 4K in your mind. It feels so close. And then, the moment comes to take one step towards it, and it's like you hit an invisible wall. You just stop.
So, what gives? Is this just a flaw in your character? A total lack of willpower? Or is there something deeper happening here, inside our brains? Well, I think the answer has way less to do with who you are and a lot more to do with how you're wired.
First things first, let's just acknowledge this experience. It's a real thing. It's called the ambitious but lazy paradox. And it's that incredibly frustrating feeling of being full of ideas, full of potential, but you're just stuck in first gear. It creates this really painful cycle.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. It's kind of the daily Groundhog Day loop, right? You wake up, you're genuinely motivated. Today's the day. But then, the phone happens, the scrolling starts, and that safety net of, I'll just start tomorrow, comes out. But that just leads to you lying in bed at night feeling guilty, promising tomorrow will be the day, only to do it all over again. Man, it is exhausting.
And this is so important to understand. This cycle isn't happening because you're a bad or lazy person. It's a psychological pattern. It's basically a habit that your brain has learned. And you know what the great thing about habits is? They can be understood. And even better, they can be changed.
So to actually change the pattern, we've got to understand where it comes from. And it really seems to start with this epic battle between two very different parts of your brain. Let's take a look at the two sides fighting it out in your head.
This breaks it down perfectly. Okay, so on one side, you have your ambitious brain. This is the part of you that dreams big, sets goals, and pictures what success looks like. But on the other side, you've got the comfort brain. And its only job, its entire mission, is to keep you safe by seeking what's easy and avoiding anything that feels risky or painful. And that includes hard work.
And for a lot of us, guess who's winning this fight most days? Yep, the comfort brain. The second you think about a big, difficult project, your brain can actually register that as a danger. So to protect you, it offers you a super easy way out, like scrolling social media or watching a video. And when you take that escape, boom, you get a little dopamine hit. Your brain literally learns, hey, avoiding that hard thing felt good. Let's do that again.
So, let's just completely reframe this. What you've been calling laziness, it's not that. It's your brain's ancient survival instinct kicking into high gear. It thinks it's doing you a favor by protecting you from the short-term discomfort of effort. It just doesn't realize it's trading away your long-term dreams in the process.
Now, this survival mode is incredibly powerful, and it gets reinforced by a few nasty mental traps that, let's be honest, we all fall into. These traps keep us stuck, making us think we need something we don't, or making us afraid of something we shouldn't be. Let's break them down.
Okay, trap number one is waiting for motivation. We think we have to feel ready, feel inspired, feel like doing something before we can actually do it. But here's the truth about motivation. It's just a feeling. It's as unpredictable as the weather. You can't schedule it, and you absolutely cannot build your life on it. So the antidote to waiting around for motivation is discipline. And the difference is huge. Discipline isn't some magical trait you're born with. It's a skill. It's a system you build, one tiny action at a time. It's the simple act of showing up even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it.
All right, the second big trap, and this one is sneaky. Perfectionism. This is that voice in your head that says you can't start until everything is perfect. The plan, the timing, your mood. You set the bar so impossibly high that taking that first messy, imperfect step feels like you've already failed.
Wow. Just let that sink in for a second. Perfectionism isn't really about wanting things to be great. It's a very clever disguise. It's the fear of failing, the fear of not being good enough, all dressed up in the very respectable costume of high standards. Okay, so we've looked at the problem, we've seen the battle in our brains, and we've identified the traps. So now, for the good part, how do we actually, go from just dreaming to actually doing? It all seems to start with changing how we think about failure.
Now that is a total mindset shift. We spend so much energy being afraid of failing. But maybe failure isn't the real enemy here. Maybe the real enemy is doing nothing, inaction. Because think about it. When you fail, you learn something. You get feedback. You grow. But when you stay frozen, you learn nothing. You stay exactly where you are.
So the way to get started isn't to try and change your entire life overnight. That's just perfectionism coming back in. The real strategy? Start ridiculously small. I mean, pick one tiny action that's almost too easy to fail at, and just do that. Then, do it again tomorrow. The goal right now isn't the big result. It's just building the habit of showing up.
And look, you cannot rely on willpower alone. That's a losing battle. You have to make your environment work for you, not against you. This is a design problem, not a willpower problem. Make the things you want to do easy and make the distractions hard. Put your phone in another room. Turn off the notifications. Create a space that tells your brain, okay, it's time to focus now.
All right, this one might sting a little. Watching a dozen videos about productivity or reading 5 books about building a business, it feels productive. But a lot of the time, it's just a more socially acceptable form of procrastination. You probably already know enough to take that first tiny step. It might be time to stop learning and start doing.
And this leads us to the final and maybe the most crucial piece of this whole puzzle. It's all about how you treat yourself during this process and making that decision to finally start today. Think about it. When you have an off day, and you're going to have them, what's the first thing you do? You beat yourself up. But guilt and shame, they're terrible motivators. All they do is paralyze you and reinforce that story you tell yourself that you're lazy. The alternative is self-compassion. It's looking at your setbacks saying, okay, that happened, and then giving yourself permission to try again. You really have to remember that progress is not a perfect straight line. It's messy. The people who actually succeed aren't the ones who never fall off the wagon. They're the ones who just get back on faster. The secret isn't avoiding mistakes. It's just keep coming back. And really, it all comes down to this. Ambition without action is nothing more than a nice daydream. You've done the hard work of imagining. You've seen the dream. Now it's time to honor that vision with action. Not tomorrow, not when you feel like it, now.
So, I'll leave you with this one question. Forget about the 5-year plan for a minute. Forget about tomorrow. What is the one tiny, almost insignificant action you can take right now, today, to start building that life you keep imagining?